Imagine a city hidden so completely that it could exist for centuries without the world noticing. A city carved into cliffs, shielded by narrow rock corridors, thriving in the middle of one of the harshest deserts on Earth. Most people have heard the name Petra, maybe from a travel brochure, a fleeting documentary, or a grainy postcard photo. But the truth is, almost no one truly understands what Petra really was, or how it became one of the most astonishing achievements of human civilization. Petra, located in modern-day Jordan, was the capital of the Nabatean kingdom, a desert empire that flourished more than 2,000 years ago. The Nabateans were not conquerors like Rome or builders like Egypt. They were masters of survival, trade, and engineering, operating in a land where ordinary cities could not hope to exist. Their empire stretched across vast deserts, controlling the trade of spices, incense, textiles, and precious metals that flowed between Arabia, Egypt, Syria, and the Roman world. The Nabateans did not simply survive, they thrived. And they did so because they understood something most civilizations fail to grasp. The world can change suddenly, and the key to longevity is adaptation, secrecy, and control of resources. Petra itself is a monument to this philosophy. Unlike most cities of its time, it was not built outward with walls and gates. Instead, it was built inward, into the cliffs, into the very rocks themselves, hidden from view, invisible to anyone who did not know the exact path. The entrance to Petra is a natural rock corridor called the Seek, twisting and narrow, stretching nearly a mile. It is impossible to see the city until the final bend opens, revealing the Treasury, Al-Khazna, carved directly from sandstone cliffs. The design is not only breathtaking but strategically brilliant. Invaders could approach without knowing what lay ahead, while the defenders could control the flow of anyone entering the city. Petra was more than a city. It was a fortress disguised as a canyon. But Petra's genius was not only in concealment, it was in its ability to manipulate nature itself. In one of the driest regions on Earth, the Nabateans built an advanced water system capable of supporting tens of thousands of people. They captured flash floods, carved channels, built reservoirs, and stored water underground. Some of these systems still function today, nearly 2 millennia later. The city could survive years without rainfall, a feat that defies logic given its location. It was not merely a settlement, it was a survival machine. The Nabateans' control over trade made Petra enormously wealthy. Frankincense, myrrh, spices, silk, and gold passed through their hands, and they taxed every caravan that moved through their territory. They were the gatekeepers of luxury and power. Empires depended on them, yet Petra remained invisible to the outside world, shielded by geography and secrecy. Even after the Roman Empire expanded into the region, Petra maintained autonomy, its clever urban design and resource management protecting it from both natural disasters and political upheaval. This early period of Petra's history is where the first secrets lie. Secrets not of treasure or architecture alone, but of a civilization that understood the delicate balance between visibility and survival. While other cities announced themselves with walls, columns, and open plazas, Petra hid. It flourished quietly, accumulating wealth, knowledge, and engineering mastery. And then, as if anticipating the rise and fall of empires, it prepared to vanish from history entirely. Petra is not like other ancient cities. It is not built on the surface, it is carved into the very cliffs that surround it. From a distance there is nothing to suggest a city exists at all, no walls, no towers, no bustling rooftops. Only sheer stone stretching for miles. And yet within that stone lies a civilization that mastered both nature and architecture. creating structures that continue to baffle engineers today. The most famous facade is Al-Khazne, known as the Treasury. Its ornate columns, intricate carvings, and monumental scale make it appear almost supernatural. But what most visitors do not understand is that this was only one of many facades designed to impress. The Nabateans were not trying to attract tourists. They were trying to communicate power and permanence, even while remaining hidden. Every detail, from the delicate floral motifs to the monumental height, was carved directly into living rock, sandstone that softens in wind and erodes with rain, making the city both fragile and enduring. The Treasury is only the beginning. Further into Petra, the monastery Ad-Dir dwarfs even Al-Khazne in scale. Accessible only by climbing nearly 900 rock-cut steps, it sits isolated on a high plateau. From there one can see the sprawling city below, the desert beyond, and the network of cliffs that hide the city from the world. These high vantage points were more than scenic, they were strategic. The Nabateans understood how to control their environment, both for defense and for observation. Every building, every passageway was part of a larger plan to keep the city safe, sustainable, and, most importantly, secret. And that secrecy extended beyond visibility. Petra's water system is perhaps its greatest achievement. In a desert where rainfall is unpredictable and flash floods frequent, the Nabateans developed a system to capture, store, and distribute water on a scale that modern engineers would call impressive. Channels carved into cliffs, cisterns hidden underground, and aqueducts that carried water from distant sources allowed Petra to sustain a population of tens of thousands. The city could thrive for years, even in the driest conditions. Every drop of water was controlled, monitored, and preserved. This water system also played a role in defense. During times of conflict, the Nabateans could control access to water, denying it to invaders while maintaining supply for residents. Petra was not just a city. It was a fortress, a vault, and a survival machine, all built into the cliffs. No army could hope to capture it without being fully aware of the terrain, the passages, and the secret sources of life that ran beneath the city. The Esaik, the main entrance to Petra, is a narrow canyon that winds nearly a mile through towering cliffs. Light barely penetrates its twists and turns. For travelers and traders, the Esaik was a guided path. For anyone with ill intent, it was a deadly trap. The Nabateans could easily defend the entrance, controlling who entered and who left. This natural corridor ensured that even a small number of defenders could manage a city that housed tens of thousands. Petra's urban planning extended beyond survival. The Nabateans carved tombs, temples, and public spaces with precision. They understood airflow, erosion, and the weight-bearing properties of sandstone. Roads were designed to channel water, prevent erosion, and guide travelers. Every element of the city, from its monumental facades to the smallest stairway, reflects a civilization that merged artistry with engineering, survival with secrecy. Despite its desert location, Petra was a hub of culture. Inscriptions, graffiti, and carved reliefs suggest a population that valued religion, commerce, and identity. Temples dedicated to gods like Dushara and Al-Uzza indicate complex spiritual beliefs. Tombs, some massive and elaborately decorated, tell stories of families and lineages. Yet much of Petra's life remains hidden, lost beneath centuries of sand, erosion, and deliberate obscurity. What is truly remarkable is how integrated Petra was. Architecture, engineering, and culture were not separate. They functioned as a single system designed for longevity, secrecy, and self-sufficiency. The Nabateans anticipated change, trade shifts, climate challenges, and potential invasions, and designed a city that could withstand all of them. It is a level of foresight that few ancient civilizations could claim. Despite its brilliance, Petra was not immune to the shifting tides of history. The Nabatean kingdom thrived for centuries, controlling trade, water, and access through the desert. But empires change, trade routes shift, and the desert remains indifferent to human ambition. By the 4th century, the Roman Empire had expanded into the region. Petra was incorporated into the Roman province of Arabia. On the surface, life went on, trade continued, and the city remained a center of culture and commerce. Yet beneath it all, subtle forces were preparing to reshape Petra's fate. Earthquakes played a role in the city's decline. Historical records indicate significant tremors in 363 AD and again in 551 AD. Buildings were damaged, tombs cracked, roads were disrupted. But it is important to note that Petra was not obliterated. The architecture, water systems, and infrastructure remained largely intact. What changed was the economic and political context. Trade routes shifted to maritime paths. Caravans that once relied on Petra's oasis bypassed it. Wealth that had fueled the city slowly drained away. Without commerce, Petra's secret advantages became liabilities. A hidden city requires resources and organization to maintain. When the Nabateans left, Petra was still usable, but it was no longer sustainable as a thriving metropolis. Its survival depended not only on engineering, but on active human management. Once the population dwindled, the desert reclaimed its grip. Buildings were gradually buried under sand, rock, and debris. Nature began its slow work of erasure. Yet Petra was never truly forgotten. Local Bedouin tribes knew its secrets. For centuries they lived around the ruins, guiding their herds and maintaining a cautious relationship with the city. They understood the value of silence. Foreign travelers were misled. Routes were obscured. Those who sought the city without guidance often wandered in circles or failed to find it altogether. Petra's survival during this period relied not on walls or armies, but on secrecy and guardianship. The Bedouins treated Petra as both sacred and practical. The city's water systems, hidden tombs, and ceremonial spaces were respected. They navigated the Essark and the surrounding cliffs with precision, preserving the paths while discouraging outsiders. In this way, Petra remained protected, hidden, and largely unknown to the outside world for nearly 1,000 years. It was not that Petra had been destroyed or lost. It had been intentionally concealed, shielded by a combination of geography and human stewardship. The notion of rediscovery is misleading. In 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt entered Petra disguised as a Muslim pilgrim. He did not stumble upon the city by accident. He was guided by a Bedouin who knew the terrain. The world would call this event a discovery, but in reality, Petra had never truly been lost. It had been waiting, hidden, preserved, and maintained by those who understood its importance. The narrative of rediscovery is a story of perspective, the Western world's perspective, not the city's history. Petra's erasure from history illustrates a critical lesson. Civilizations are not defined solely by what they build, but by what they choose to reveal. The Nabateans understood this principle intuitively. They created a city that could survive collapse, invasion, and the passage of time, not through grandeur alone, but through integration with its environment and careful control of knowledge. Even after abandonment, Petra continued to exist in memory, oral tradition, and in the cautious footsteps of the Bedouins who had never stopped guarding it. The secrecy and gradual disappearance created an aura of mystery that has persisted into modern times. Travelers and historians have speculated for centuries about Petra's purpose, its treasures, and the ingenuity of its builders. Some theories exaggerate, others romanticize, but the underlying truth remains. Petra was designed to hide, endure, and outlast those who would try to claim it. Its survival is not miraculous. It is the product of intentional design, engineering mastery, and disciplined guardianship. Even today, Petra continues to reveal secrets. Archaeologists uncover tombs, inscriptions, and water channels that challenge previous assumptions. Each discovery demonstrates the complexity and sophistication of the Nabateans' urban planning. The city's decline was not due to incompetence or failure, but to the natural flow of history, trade shifts, empire expansions, and human migration. Petra's continued presence is a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and the careful blending of human endeavor with the harsh desert environment. While Petra's architecture and engineering are awe-inspiring, its cultural life reveals a city that was far more than stone and water. The Nabateans built not only to survive but to thrive as a complex society, blending commerce, religion, and tradition in a way that created cohesion within the hidden city. Inscriptions, carvings, and tombs scattered throughout Petra tell stories of families, trades, and devotion to gods that remain only partially understood today. Religion played a central role in Petra's daily life. Temples dedicated to deities such as Dushara, the chief god, and Al-Uzza, a goddess of fertility and protection, suggest a spiritual network that was deeply intertwined with the city's commerce and governance. Ceremonial sites, often tucked away in less obvious locations, reveal rituals tied to water, harvest, and trade, demonstrating a civilization that revered both natural and human-made systems. Even the hidden locations of these sites indicate an awareness of secrecy and sacredness, a recurring theme in Petra's design philosophy. Tombs tell another story. Some are massive, intricately carved, and clearly intended for prominent families or leaders. Others are modest, yet meticulously placed, suggesting a societal hierarchy and respect for lineage. Graffiti and inscriptions on walls provide insights into social interactions, commerce, and even personal reflections, showing that the Nabateans were not only skilled engineers, but also observers of human behavior and culture. These details, often overlooked by visitors, paint a picture of a city that was vibrant, organized, and highly sophisticated. Petra's streets and public spaces were carefully designed to accommodate both daily life and ceremonial activities. Markets, assembly areas, and gathering points were integrated with the urban layout, yet always in harmony with the natural environment. Roads carved into cliffs and guided pathways ensured smooth movement while maintaining the city's concealment. Every element, from stairways to open courtyards, was planned to balance functionality, safety, and aesthetic impact. The city was a living organism growing and adapting to the needs of its inhabitants while remaining hidden from the outside world. The Nabateans' mastery extended to engineering innovations that still puzzle researchers today. Water channels, cisterns, and reservoirs demonstrate not only practical knowledge, but also strategic foresight. By controlling water, the Nabateans controlled life itself. They ensured the city could withstand droughts, sieges, and external threats, a remarkable feat given the harsh desert environment. In many ways, Petra was a civilization anticipating collapse while preparing for continuity, a combination of ingenuity and pragmatism rarely seen in ancient history. Yet, for all its sophistication, Petra was ultimately a city that disappeared from mainstream memory. The decline was gradual, dictated by trade changes, empire expansion, and the inexorable flow of time. The Nabateans left, the Bedouins preserved, and nature slowly reclaimed the space. What remains today is a layered story, warranting stone hiding secrets, inscriptions whispering lives, and monuments that stand as silent witnesses to a people who understood the delicate balance between visibility and survival. And this is why Petra continues to captivate us. It is not simply the grandeur of its facades, nor the technical mastery of its water systems. It is the lesson it leaves behind. Civilizations rise, flourish, and can vanish. Yet the ingenuity of those who understand survival, secrecy, and adaptation can endure far beyond memory. Petra teaches us that true mastery lies not only in building, but in knowing when to reveal and when to conceal, when to thrive openly and when to protect quietly. So when you stand in the Treasury's shadow or climb the steps to the monastery, remember, Petra is more than a city. It is a civilization preserved by foresight, hidden by necessity, and celebrated by history only because it chose when to reveal itself. Every stone, every channel, every inscription is a testament to the Nabateans' wisdom, creativity, and understanding of the world in which they lived. Petra was erased from history, yet through its enduring presence, it continues to speak across millennia, inviting us to witness the brilliance of a city that refused to be forgotten. The sun sets on the canyon walls, and shadows stretch across the sandstone. Petra remains silent but alive in the stories it leaves behind. A city that taught the desert to bend, that carved its secrets into stone, and that waited patiently for explorers, historians, and curious minds to finally understand its truth. It is hidden, it is enduring, and it is eternal. And perhaps, in its silence, it asks us the same question the Nabateans knew so well. Are we paying attention to what truly matters, or only to what is easy to see? If you want to continue uncovering the mysteries of the past, make sure to check out our other videos. And remember, history doesn't just tell stories. Sometimes it whispers them, waiting for you to listen. Thanks for watching.